Hi everyone at Midpoint for Women. Welcome back to my second session. So today I want to talk to you all about body shape. I'm pre-recorded today. I am on holiday in Portugal as we speak, so always here to answer questions as the week goes on, and I'm sitting in the sun lounger. So drop comments, say hi, let me know if you've got any questions. And let me know, have you had your style done? Do you know your body shape? So today I'm breaking the style part of Colour and Style into two segments. So next week we will talk about style personality, which is really fun and really interesting. But I just want to start by reading a segment from the style book. So when you come for a style session, you have a workbook and we go through it. It's yours to keep. And it's all about body shape, scale, and style personality. So you can scribble all over it. So it's a bit of a Bible for you to keep on your bedside or near your wardrobe or even in your handbag when you're shopping. So this says your proportions. Our body proportions are important because knowing them helps us to create balance and ultimately decide whether to tuck it in, not tuck it in, wear a belt, not wear a belt, where the hem of a top and jacket should finish, and so on. However, your unique combination of body shape and style personality, height and scale, which I'll talk about in a minute, will have an impact on which of these guidelines are applicable for you. So we have 7 different body shapes, which I'm going to go through. And as I describe the body shape, I'll try and throw some suggestions of items to wear or avoid, to give you some tips as you're listening. But always remember that even though, so for me, it's 7 different body shapes, some stylists use other body shapes, which are slightly different to mine. They might have 8 or less. Doesn't matter. The thing that matters is to remember that there is more than 7 body shapes. There's probably 40 or 50 different body shapes when you take into account scale. So as it says here, if you're taller or shorter, maybe you're more petite or larger, you're always going to be slightly different to the next hourglass sitting next to you for lots of different reasons. So it's about just learning about your body. And what I want to do is I want to enhance your best bits. Stop worrying about the bits that we don't like. Maybe there's a bit of a tummy, maybe you're more petite. None of these things are a problem. They're all just who we are. But we all have great bits. So do you have a great chest? Some women have a flat bottom, they have no bottom, and others have a bum. Don't moan about having a big bum, ladies. You've got one. That's great. So it's all about that sort of neuro-linguistic programming and talking to yourself about the good things and enhancing the best bits. So as last week, it's really hot in here. The door's not making a noise now. I'm just going to open the window because it's starting to get warm. I'm not sure that'll make much difference, but let's give it a go. So I'm just going to use this to make sure I don't forget any, and I can show you a little picture as we go. We're going to start with what we call the neat hourglass. So some stylists might just have an hourglass. We've got 2 here. We've broken it down to make it more bespoke to the individual. So to be a neat hourglass, here we go, we've got a picture here. You need to stand in front of the mirror and have a look as I'm describing this, or go away after and have a look in the mirror with maybe just a vest top or your pants on and bra, you know, on your own. And are your shoulders in line with your hips? That's what you need to be starting off as a neat hourglass. Then you will wear the same size on top as you do bottom. So you might be a 12 on top, a 12 on bottom, or a 16 on top, 16 on bottom. You have a defined waist, so you come in a little. So I'm wearing quite a loose fitting top. I'm an hourglass. I don't know if you can see because I've not given myself much room for the camera because it's a mess in here as I pack. So can you see I come in here? Other shapes do also come in, but we're looking for that defined waist. If you're not sure where your waist is, maybe it's because you are maybe something more blocky like a rectangle, but you can do a little trick. Put your hands on your hips, bend left and right, and where you crease is where your waist is. So that's a little tip there. So shoulders and hips in line, same size on top as bottom, define waist, and then you'll have neat curves. So I've got little boobies and a little bottom, but they're definitely there. So and if you are a neat hourglass, you are one of the lucky ones. It is easier to wear all sorts of things. I'd avoid really heavyweight fabric. It's going to drown you. You need to maybe enhance the curve. So a little puffy shoulder or wide leg, details on the pockets, anything that's going to sort of help your shoulders and bottom half go wider will give the impression of an even more narrow waist, but more curves as well. You can wear all sorts of prints like animal print, florals, checks and stripes and so on. Things to avoid, I said it already, baggy, big, heavy items, boxy shaped jackets, shapeless tunics. show off your little frame, okay? Don't hide them under lots of fabric. So how does that differ to a full hourglass? So she also has shoulders in line with hips. She has a defined waist. She wears the same size on top as she does bottom. However, her hips and her shoulders come out more. So she has, I have a little bit of a curve there. They have a bigger curve. Think of Nigella, the chef. She has a really curvy bust and bottom. So she has bigger boobies, bigger bottom, very curvaceous lady. So she is great in all these things, all these different clothes, but she doesn't want to enhance her shoulders or hips like the neat hourglass because she's already wider. She's already got that volume, which is a gorgeous volume as well. But she doesn't want to make herself look any bigger necessarily. So her thing is going to be to avoid things like empire line dresses, bulky knits, boxy jackets, and heavyweight fabric. She wants things that are going to skim her body and fit well. So think bodycon dresses. If you've got a problem with your tummy, it's all about having that right underwear, soft floaty fabrics as well, which are going to glide over her curves. What else can I tell you? Show off your figure. Don't be afraid. I think sometimes I meet some full hourglasses and because they're nervous, they just feel big. And actually they have the most gorgeous curves. They just need to learn to embrace their body and show it off. So if that's you, think about showing off your figure. It's all about getting the right cut of clothing. So next up we have, oh, I didn't show you a picture. So you see she's a little bit more curvy. Next up we have the pear. So far I imagine you've all heard of these shapes. So here we go, we have the lovely pear. So you can't necessarily see her frame here because she's dressed in a way that balances her out. And this is what we're doing. When we're looking at body shape and we're saying, actually, you're better in this shape, you're better in this print, you're better to wear this colour on top or this colour on bottom, it's because we're trying to create balance in your overall form. So overall form that we're trying to emphasise or look like is normally the hourglass. And I don't know why, I've never been told why, I don't want it to be, you know, there's nothing wrong with any body shape, but in my mind, the way I understand it is that as women, whether you've had babies or not, we're designed to have babies. So our boobies get bigger, our waist will then come in because our boobies come out more, and our hips also widen because of childbirth. So therefore, you get that Coca-Cola figure. So we're aiming to balance the body shape out to make it look like that. So the pear is a great start, for example, here. So a pear will be smaller on the top, and she'll be larger on the bottom. Her hips will be wider, her shoulders will be narrower, she will wear a smaller size on top, and she will wear a bigger size on the bottom. She will have a defined waist, she will have a curvy waist, and she will have a great bottom, and she will have neat defined boobies. You can get exceptions to the rule. You could get pairs with big boobies, but normally it's all about there being a wider size on the bottom and smaller on the top. So what do we want to do here? We want to enhance the top, puffy sleeves, pattern on the top, and we want to minimise the bottom half. So soft floaty fabrics on the bottom half, darker colours on the bottom half, not too much distraction in the print and so on the bottom half. You can do whatever you want. You might be dramatic, you might go for it anyway, and that's absolutely fine. But if you're conscious of your figure and you want to create that balance and minimise the lower half, go darker, keep it simple. Keep it soft and floaty on the bottom half. Keep it more interesting on the top half. So you can also have things like paisleys, florals and dots. You want to avoid halter necks, raglan sleeves, which are those, and cold shoulder tops, so anything with that shoulder detail. You want to avoid texture on the lower half. You will not want to emphasise the fact you have smaller shoulders. That's why something like a halter neck won't work, because it'll enhance your shoulders. Maximise top half, highlight bottom half with darker colours. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Highlight top half with colours. Yeah, I've said all that, that's fine. So, did I show you a picture? I did. Next up, hang on, let me just fan myself. It's a bit warm in here. I'm sure it's not hot flushes, it is just every time I stand in this room. So next up we have our strawberry. Now you may have experienced colour before and style, and you might have gone off and done some research before, and if you have, you might have heard what we call an oval. When I trained at Colour Me Beautiful, we were trained about the oval, but when I moved away from Colour Me Beautiful and picked up my books from the lovely image experts, I discovered they'd broken it into 2 separate characters because there were some slight differences that wouldn't always work. So we have what we call the strawberry and the apple. They're similar but with slight differences. So to be a strawberry, these ladies are bigger on top, have shoulders wider than the hips. They wear a bigger size on the top half. They have a full curvy bust. These women have really big boobs, often. They have a straight rib cage and neat hips, so you're not curvy on the bottom half at all, but you may have a little curvy tummy. Your styling goals: minimise the top half by keeping it dark, so we're opposite to that pair. Maximise the lower half with pattern trousers, you know, wide leg trousers, show it all off down below. Create the illusion of curvier hips if desired. So you can do that with a peplum top or trousers that have stiff pockets that stick out. You can also wear diagonal stripes, spots, checks, paisley and florals. So I'm going to jump one here and I'm going to go straight over to the apple, see how it compares. See, these ladies have a rounded shoulder line. I have quite a strong shoulder line here. If you feel like you've got no shoulders, you struggle with clothes, you've probably got a sloped shoulder line. You have fullness around the middle. It's all in the tummy. I feel like that right now. You have great legs and you kind of know it too. If you're someone who says, I love my legs, I always get comments on my legs, or I used to always get comments on my legs, you could be an apple. You have a flattish bottom. So I have a little bottom that sticks, I can't see in this camera, I have a little bottom, but you go straight down when you look in the side of the mirror. If you're not sure, get someone to maybe take a picture of you from the side and then you can have a look. Or come and see me and I'll have a look for you. So, your styling goals. This is an interesting one. Let me show you a picture. You want to break things up into thirds. So can you see how we have thirds breaking up? And yeah, let me explain. Choose clothing that hang from the shoulder. So these long line floaty cardigans are good for you. Choose styles in drapey fabrics that hang close to the body. Draw attention to the top third and bottom third of your body. So you're breaking yourself up. You'll also look really good in a pencil skirt, for example, with a vest top, maybe a cowl neck vest top, and then a jacket. So you're creating that column illusion. If the jacket's a different colour to the top, and it's slimming you down. So things to avoid: attention at the waist level. Because you feel a bit round in the tummy, we'll want to take attention away from that. That's why we're looking at the top and bottom third of the body. Avoid skinny jeans and with a short top. Stiff fabrics unless it's in the trousers. You can have that stiff trouser, so a wide leg trouser or a flare or boot cut trouser will look good on you. Short skirts, avoid the short skirts, go for more of a pencil or a big wide maxi skirt. Raglan sleeves and lycra. We'll talk a bit about fabric in a minute. So let's go back one. We have our rectangles. So we have rectangles. What is it to be a rectangle? We have one rectangle in the group. I know who you are. So listen up if you're a rectangle and get a refresher. Have shoulders aligned with hips. So same as the first two, your hips and shoulders are fairly in line. Now, note to self, when you're looking in the mirror, my shoulders actually come out ever so slightly more than my hips. But when you read it and you look at it, actually, I'm just a little bit odd for a neat hourglass, but I am a neat hourglass. So don't worry if there's ever so slightly something off. It might just be that you're a rectangle with a bigger boob. So you have shoulders in line with hips and you wear the same size on the top as you do bottom, but you have little waist definition and curves. So if you were looking at that neat hourglass and going, don't think I come in, I don't know where my waist is, you could be a rectangle. If you're looking at neat hourglass and you've got no bottom and a flat chest, you're probably a rectangle. As I say, there's an exception to the rule. Sometimes you could be a rectangle with big boobies. Small to average bust, have straight, neat hips and bottom. So you can see here, these ladies are quite straight. They're not very curvy. So for them, they want to choose clothes with structure. Think about jackets with shape. Think about peplums. Think about clothes that have some strength to them. So think about thicker fabrics or more crisp fabrics. So choose straight structured clothing. Create illusion of more curves if desired. Add clothing details to the bust and the hip area. So you create attention to the chest and the hip. you're drawing the eye's attention away from that waist that isn't there, which it gives the illusion that there is a waist. Flaunt your lean arms and legs. Get your arms and legs out and avoid stretchy bodycon dresses, soft baggy jumpers and cardies, and belts that highlight the waist. And the last one is our athletics. So already you can see all that pattern on the bottom half and the halter neck on the top. So athletics, typically these ladies struggle to get dresses because they feel like if they buy it for the top half, they're buying a larger size than what they feel they actually are. That's because it just doesn't fit very well on this area here, which is quite broad. So you have broad straight shoulders, you have narrow hips. So you're wider on the top, you're very narrow on the bottom. You struggle to find trousers often because you'll find them small around the waist, but then they're not right in the leg length. Have little definition between waist and hips. So it's all about being that inverted triangle, but with no curves. So you want to show off everything down the bottom. You want to show off your amazing shoulders, keep clothing lines straight and sharp, and add clothing detail with hip and bust detail. Again, sort of to create that sort of waist impression. You can also have wide leg trousers, peplums and so on. Pattern on the bottom half and simple on the top half. Avoid soft floaty dresses, the long cardigans, thick chunky stuff on top. You can go thick and chunky down below but not on the top. And tops that broaden the shoulders. So for example, a line of a strap vest top that sort of sits like this is going to draw the attention out, making your shoulders look wider. So if you're a pair, you can wear a top that comes out like this and finishes here, because it's going to give you a wider looking top half. But if you're already wide, you don't want to look more wide. So that's all the body shapes. I want to quickly talk a bit about fabric. So if you are curvy, you want soft floaty fabric. If you are boxy and straight, you want to go for stiff, crisp fabric. So imagine wrapping a ball with a silk scarf and imagine wrapping a box with a silk scarf. Which one's going to wrap better? The ball is going to float over the silk is going to float over the ball and wrap it beautifully. But it's going to be difficult to sit on that box, it's going to move around. Then if you take some brown wrapping paper and you try and wrap a ball with a brown wrapping paper, it's going to be a nightmare. It's not going to really look very good. But if you put that brown paper on the box, it's going to work really well. So I think that's it from me before I completely melt. I hope you're all having a great week, and I look forward to catching up on some of the content whilst I'm away, because I don't always get to do that. The breath work and the nutrition sounds great. So next week I hope to be back live. I need to check in with Fiona on my holiday dates. It might be a pre-record from holiday, but we will be talking all about style personality. Arguably one of the most important things about colour and style. So yeah, I look forward to catching up with you next week, and I hope you have a fab week and you have some nice weather here in England. Bye for now.